Welcome to another episode of TiVo and the Beard.
Guess what? You can see us. But I am TiVo. That is the Beard.
And we're coming to you live from Jekyll Island Comic Con. So we are here at Jekyll Island Comic Con, and this is our first guest here, Miss Nalini, Krishan.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks,
So you are the first Jedi we've ever interviewed.
Ah,
So I just wanted yes.
Excellent.
So what brings you to Jekyll Island Comic Con?
Always the fans.
The fans?
The fans always wanted to see me, and I was invited, and I love going to conventions, so that's why I'm here.
Okay, what is it about them in particular? Especially a smaller one like this.
Because, I go a lot as a guest, so I know what I definitely go for. People like you.
Oh, thank you.
But
thank you.
I've always been curious about the flip side of it. What do you get from it?
Well, being Australian, we love to travel.
Okay.
Never been to Jekyll Island before. It's December, I really do shows in December.
Yeah.
So I thought, why not do a show in December? And, if they ask you to come to a show, typically because you've got fans who want to see you.
Right.
So I really wanted to see what it was about, to see fans here and say, okay, I've been to this area, I've seen my fans. And also, there's so much history behind this island as well.
Oh, for sure.
And I really want to see it. And I mean, the weather's finally nice today, so
Yeah.
I'm hoping I can actually see
Yeah.
some of the island and learn its
Yes,
history.
there's not a monsoon going on anymore. So.
Exactly. So yeah, that's the main reason.
So since you are known for being a Jedi, can you tell us a bit about your character for our viewers?
Yes, absolutely. So Barriss Offee was the Jedi apprentice to the Master Luminarian Dooley, and she features in episode 2 Attack of the Clones. She's known to be a very fierce, loyal warrior, and she's also a healer. So she's very well known for her healing powers, tandem fighting, so where she fights alongside her master, but they do back-to-back fighting in sequence, so she's known for that. And she, unfortunately, in the Clone Wars, is known to have betrayed the Order.
Spoiler warning.
Yes, that was the unfortunate part. I didn't have a say in that, so that's what happened with her character.
Now, were you a Star Wars fan before that?
Yeah, I watched the repeats of Star Wars on TV as a child. It would come on. It was quite popular on TV back then, and I would watch it. And then I didn't really watch the new ones until I found out I was going to be in Attack of the Clones. I was an adult by then, and I thought, okay, I better watch the first one. But since then, I've been watching all of them.
Okay.
Everyone. My partner's a really big fan of Star Wars, and everyone's a big fan, and it's almost like it's kind of culturally ingrained that you need to go and see Star Wars. But I am a big fan of Star Trek as well.
Thank you.
I have to go and watch Star Trek when it comes out.
Now, with the Star Wars, though, do you have any speculations about The Last Jedi?
No, I don't even want to guess.
Do you like to go in, just completely blind, just let it come to you?
I like to be surprised. I think that if you read too much into what's happening and who the Last Jedi is and the plot, I think that people will spoil it, and I don't want to be spoiled when I'm going to a movie. I want to be
Star Wars
completely
universe, there's so much out there that it's easy to speculate.
Oh, well, it is, and things are given away that shouldn't be given away, or people watch it and you watch the media and read things, and suddenly everyone's giving the ending away. And I try and
wants that.
Who
wants that?
No, I don't want
but
that. I just close my eyes and don't look.
I always want to know what different perspectives like, because if I were you, I'd be like, well, I'm part of the Star Wars universe. I feel like I should know, but do I want to know?
No.
Yeah, what would your character know at this point?
I can't say that my desire is that I do want to know, because I think I just, I think that if you do speculate and you do know, you can really let yourself down, especially if you're expecting something that doesn't happen.
We know a lot about that.
Yeah, exactly. So, just go in there, don't have any expectations, and just enjoy it. And go for the ride. Right?
Yeah.
So
these movies are built to be seen in large theaters. That's fine.
They're entertaining.
Exactly.
They're entertaining. It's not about obsessing over, so I try not to obsess over it.
And do you have any other future projects you'd kind of like to tell our viewers to look for you in?
Well, I just finished, the premiere happened for Bloodsucker Jones 2, The Creeping Deaths. It's a horror film I was in, and I played Nurse Elvira. So I did that, and that's gone to quite a few film festivals. So I did that. I did 2 commercials this year. I'm waiting to hear about another project, so I can't talk about that one. So I'm waiting to hear about that.
So you kind of heard about it here first.
Yes, I'm waiting to hear about
But what could it be?
But what could it be?
What could it be? Yes, I can't talk about that either. So and I've got, I'm always going for auditions. I'm trying to set up my own production company as well. Working with people in the industry to try and get that up and running, because it's going to be very different. Writing scripts at the moment, trying to write a book, and trying to get very creative with, creating something that's very different, because I feel that we see too much of the same thing on TV and in movies now, and it needs to change. And I'm working on something that I'm hoping will change the industry.
Okay, and so that our viewers can keep up with you, where can they find you online?
If they go to Facebook and look up Nalini Krishan with a K, you'll find my 2 Facebook fan pages. I have a profile I add people to as well.
Okay.
If you just go there, or nalinikrishan.com, that's my website as well. But
And we'll have
Facebook
links.
or even Instagram. If you look up Jedi Nalini on Instagram, I'm there as well.
We'll be there.
Yeah,
we'll be
great,
there.
thank you.
But thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. It was really nice to meet you both.
Thank you.
We're back, and this time we're with Butch Patrick. How are you doing today?
And you're TiVo and you're the beard?
Oh, no, but close.
Oh.
Very close. Yeah, common misconception. You, of course, are best known for being Eddie Munster in the Munsters.
That's pretty much so, yes.
So, my first question is, what life before the Munsters? How was that?
Life before the Munsters started for me in acting in 1960 when I did a general hospital for a year, and then I did a series called The Real McCoys after that, and then that led up to the Munsters, but in between there were a lot of movies and commercials and guest starring roles.
Okay. And as Eddie Munster, so it does have, it's gone from a cult popularity to popularity. It's something that's been around for a while, even though it's only 2 seasons.
Yes.
Was there any indication while the show was running that it was going to gain such momentum?
No, I don't think anybody really knows how that's going to work out. It's just one of those things that's sort of kismet. But we knew it would be unique because at the time we didn't anticipate any other series. There was nothing like that before. There certainly hasn't been anything like that after.
Right.
Except for the remake of the Munsters.
Yeah, they've tried multiple times. The other big show that people do compare the Munsters to, of course, is the Addams Family. Now, within the fandoms, there's some rivalry, but you're either a Munsters fan or an Addams Family fan. As far as the cast, are you familiar with there being any rivalry between the shows?
No, we were on Thursday nights, they were on Friday nights, but it's interesting because never before in TV programming history, to my knowledge, had there been similar shows that literally, in my opinion, whether you preferred the Munsters or the Addams Family, there's a very good chance you probably watched them both.
Right.
So I think each show actually helped the other one's existence.
Okay. And you have Addams Family ties.
I know some people in the Addams Family, and I actually did the Addams Family Funhouse.
That's Pugsley, right?
Huh?
That's Pugsley,
Pugsley,
right?
yeah.
So,
special guest Jim Neighbors.
So
Rest in peace, Jim.
So from Eddie Munster to Pugsley.
Yeah.
And after the Munsters, that seems to have kind of opened the doorway for other acting jobs, such as in I Dream of Jeannie, Mr. Ed, other very well-known shows. How was that?
Well, the shows before the Munsters were, like you said, it was Mr. Ed, My Favorite Martian, The Untouchables, The Detectives, a lot of Rawhide, a lot of cowboy shows. And then afterwards, I spent a lot of time over at Universal doing Adam 12s and Ironside. But at Don Feddersen, I was on My Three Sons for 3 years as a reoccurring regular, always being Ernie's best friend.
Yeah.
So that kept me busy. And then you'll probably lead into Lidsville here in a second.
Oh yes, definitely. So let's segue right into Lidsville. That is, if you can explain that to some of we have a lot of younger viewers, and a younger co-host here. Kind of give.
By the way, I know you're there. I know I'm talking. How's the back of my ear?
Oh, you're great.
If you can give kind of the 30-second description of Lidsville.
Yeah. Lidsville was the kookiest. Lidsville was the kickiest. Lidsville was a Sid and Marty Krofft production, their 3rd series after H.R. Pufnstuf, the legendary H.R. Pufnstuf with Jack Wilde, and the Bugaloos. And this were kind of English shows, and then they went with an American angle with me and Charles Nelson Riley and Billy Hayes, who was also known as Witchy Poo from H.R. So anyway, we did a series in '71. It did 17 episodes in the summer. It was all about a kid, me, falling into this magical hat very similar to Alice in Wonderland, falling down the rabbit hole.
Right.
And then when I landed, the whole place was basically populated by hat people. Good hats, bad hats, and Hoodoo, Horatio J. Hoodoo, which was Charles Nelson Riley, and his sidekick, Raunchy Rabbit, who was Sharon Baird. Sharon was also on the previous Croft shows, and a Mouseketeer. So anyway, Saturday morning show, was very popular, 2 years on ABC, 2 years on NBC, and that's how I spent my summer of '71.
And how was it working on that kind of sort of fantastical show, live action, puppets, all sort of,
It was an interesting, it was a very technologically advanced show for its time. It was the first time they'd ever used a chroma key. It was a new invention, superimposing people and action, so we did that. And then we also had 3 cameras shooting, not live, but somewhat live, with 3 camera shoots going at once, the director being on another soundstage in a booth, so you would not be directed one-on-one, you'd be directed by this voice coming over like the great powerful Oz. And so that was interesting. And we did, in 11 weeks, we did 17 episodes, so we were moving along pretty quickly page-wise. And the interesting thing was when you had the little hat people surrounding you, they didn't speak, and you had 3 voiceover people doing their voices, but without them speaking, sometimes the voices you would get confused, and it was hard to keep track of who you're supposed to be looking at because they're actually not making any noise.
right, yeah.
So,
With such an eclectic IMDb page, is there a specific genre that you prefer working in?
I prefer comedy, although I did a lot of dramas, and I always think for some reason I got cast a lot as a pain in the ass. Basically, Dr. Bellows' nephew, I was horrible as Barbara Eden. I introduced myself to her recently and reconnected. She was, "Oh, you were awful," and that was about it.
But she remembered you.
Yeah, and it was like when I did the Adam 12, where I slashed the cops' tires and with a switchblade. And, what, are you going to arrest me because you think I had a knife? Those kind of parts.
Right. Do you have anything you're currently working on or future plans you'd like to promote?
Well, I recently bought my grandma's old house I used to live in 1967. It happens to be a haunted Queen Anne Victorian home built in 1875. So we're looking at paranormal activity because there's a lot of it there. I don't know what I'm really going to do with it. I don't think a show so much. I think it's more going to be a destination for people to come visit me at these things called 1313 weekends, where 13 people on a Saturday, 13 people on a Sunday, get to hang out, see the town, go to the cemetery. I marry people, so we do goth weddings.
Oh, very
steampunk goth,
Yeah.
paranormal. I have the cars, the Munster coach and the Dragula, tribute vehicles, so I travel around the country doing a lot of automotive events, a lot of drag races. Just got a connection with IndyCar Racing League, so hopefully we'll be doing some Indy stuff. And let's see, cars there. Oh, and next year I'm going to have an escape room. I'm going to have a Munsters licensed Munsters escape room that I will be taking around the country to situations like these Comic-Cons, where it'll be outside, people can go through these escape rooms and figure out their mental dexterity to escape from the Munster mansion.
Okay, and now with it being Monsters Inc., well, it's like if you were to bring younger children, would it be appropriate then, or is it going to be scarier than?
No, it's family appropriate.
Okay.
Just like the Munsters.
Okay. Yeah. And is there any websites, Twitter, anything like that you'd like to, where our viewers can follow you or find out more about
Twitter.
it?
What is that?
What is it?
Facebook?
It's like Facebook. better.
It's Facebook. I guess I'm going to have to actually get a cell phone. Huh? Yes, Facebook, the official Munsters fan group, and I have 3 Facebook pages: Twitter, Tumblr, everything else. No MySpace. Sorry, I fell off that.
Oh man, that's.
But yeah, just go to munsters.com, and that will lead you down the path to everything.
Okay.
Well, before we let you go,
Oh yeah, you're here.
Yeah, we have to do this. Let's see how he likes it.
Oh, that's a good back of an ear right there.
so, I grew up watching the Munsters.
Yeah.
I was a Munsters person before the Addams Family.
Very good.
I absolutely loved Fred Gwynn when I was a kid. I thought he was so hilarious. Do you, before you go, could you share like a fond memory?
Sure. Fred and Al were, for those of you who don't know, they were on Car 54, Where Are You?, which was a series out of New York City, Nat Hiken's series, and it was very popular. Fred and Al were a very good comedy team. And when they came to do the Munsters, they really took on those characters so well that they were stuck with the personas afterwards. Grandpa loving it, Herman not so much, Fred not so much. But the biggest thing that I remember with Fred was they had written a lot of scenes for me and him to have these father and son shows because they noticed I could handle a lot of dialogue. So they wrote a lot of scripts where he and I were almost the reversing roles with the teacher and the student, where I would be the adult and he would be the child like Frankenstein. And he taught me a lot about acting because I had to take on some more dialogue, and he was really he was number one, he was very talented, but number two, he was very easy to work with because he wrote children's books and he was an illustrator. He had kids of his own, so he really took me under his wing, and we wound up with a lot of great series and scenes with him. Al Lewis, on the other hand, was really over-the-top character, like his grandpa, but he loved sports, and my stepdad was a pro ball player. I love sports like most kids, so he took the time to throw the ball with me and toss a frisbee, because Fred was so busy working, he didn't really have any spare time, and Al did. So between the two of us, we had a really good balance. For that, I really appreciated it. And one last thing, the greatest thing was at Universal Studios, which you can find in Munster Memories, my book, at my website, is going around the Universal backlot when I wasn't working and I had carte blanche to go visit wherever I wanted to go. Awesome. Imagine a 12-year-old kid, 11 and 12 years old, having the greatest studio in the world to go explore at his leisure, and that's what I really enjoyed doing. And also George Barriss' shop down the street, where he was creating the custom cars, the Munster coach, the Dragula, the Batmobile, and going there. So I had a really good childhood.
Oh, sounds like it. Well, thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Put it there, bud.
Thank you.
TiVo, the beer.
Yeah, right
here. Get it?
Beer. Here with David Naughton, again at Jekyll Island Comic-Con. Thank you for joining us today.
Sure.
So, first question I'd like to kind of start with, how did you get your start in film?
My start in film, it's basically the audition process.
Okay.
I went to drama school in London after I graduated from college and studied acting in England and returned to New York and started in New York.
Okay.
Got an agent, and they were sending me out for all kinds of different projects.
Mm-hmm.
And that's primarily it, through agents.
Were you mostly looking for any particular types of roles, like genre-wise, or?
Well, when I came out of drama school, I was interested in theater and thinking, I want to play classical roles of Shakespeare, and then I
Did
realized...
you want to be Hamlet?
Well, I wanted to certainly, in fact, my first role was in a production of Hamlet for the New York Shakespeare Festival that Sam Waterston, that many people know from Law and Order. It was his Hamlet, and I was cast as a member of that troupe. So that was sort of my initial plan. But I realized soon after that whatever plans you make, you have to be subject to changing.
Right. Yeah, because you've done film, television, and theater. Do you have a preference of the three?
No, they're all a little different, but they can all be very exciting, depending on what it is you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think it's fun to be able to do it all.
All right, and one thing that I know you from that TiVo doesn't is the Dr. Pepper commercials.
Yes.
So before we get into
let's first of all, let's explain this, because you're right, I'm not aware of
Dr.
this.
Pepper? What's that?
I'm a pepper, you're a pepper?
Yeah, this was a campaign.
This show is not brought to you by Dr. Pepper.
No, but it was a commercial campaign that I was living in New York at the time, and what agents liked, actors to go up for commercials if you were so inclined. And so this was a particularly cool one because it was 3 commercials. It required dancing and singing, and it was going to be a 20-day shoot.
Okay.
So just about the length of a independent film, and the auditions continued to be 3 or 4 over the course of a couple of weeks, and it became very intense. Started with a lot of guys and a sort of a dance routine that I had to learn, and I didn't really consider myself a dancer, so it was really no pressure, but. As it turned out, I was selected to be their spokesman, and we had a 22-day shoot, if you can imagine. Started in New York and ended up in San Francisco.
Wow.
It was a campaign called Be a Pepper, sort of a Pied Piper idea going across the U.S.
Okay.
And it ended up being a 22-day shoot, 3 commercials, hit the airwaves, and changed my life, and certainly the Dr. Pepper put them on the map as well.
Now, from my understanding, Dr. Pepper, though, was not a fan of American Werewolf in London.
Well, I know that was a story that sort of circulating, going, wow, you became a werewolf.
On your behind the scenes.
Yeah, but the reality was, I'd been doing the Pepper stuff for 4 years. Then this film came out, so I was really ready to make a change and see how things were going to.
So you were going to be moving on either way.
Yeah, that was my plan. And then I think about it, years later, going, maybe I should have stuck it out with Dr. Pepper for a few more years. Because I see people, they can be spokesmen for years, it seems.
Yeah.
And it was a good thing, but it's nice to go out when it's well thought of. We won a number of awards. It was very popular, and it was just a nice transition.
Okay, so that tells our viewers there, don't believe everything you read online.
That's true.
Because I've read about it being a controversy.
Yeah, I know. Well, it makes a good story, but
This is
Right.
this is new to me.
Right.
reality was.
So-
Speaking of other things that are relatively new to me, so for our listeners, viewers, they know that I'm not a big horror movie person, and the Beard is, so he's naturally seen anything and everything. Some he probably cares to never see again.
Right, yeah.
But one movie that has been circulating, in my life, even though I haven't seen it, was American Werewolf in London. I had a lot of people say, "You got to see this movie." I said, "I don't know, just, what's too scary, or what if it's not my cup of tea." But I recently watched it, and man, it was great.
Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's a
Griffin Dunn was that makeup on him.
Griffin Dunn, yes. He realized that every time you'd see him, he'd be more and more decayed.
Yeah.
And throughout the film, Rick Baker was new to us and to the world as far as as a genius makeup artist, and this was his first Academy Award that he won, and
I think it
Well
definitely
deserved.
still holds up.
yeah,
Oh yeah, well, I watched
as
it.
practical makeup goes.
Yeah, I watched it. And nothing aside from the cars and stuff, and it's like costume pieces, but everything else still holds
Yeah,
really
it's-
well.
And one of the things we've enjoyed about the film over the years is having London as a backdrop. You could go to London today and it still looks very much the same as it did in 1981 when we made the film. The buses are the same, the cabs look the same. So other than, it's 36 years later, the film continues to, find audiences. So we're happy about that.
With this job, was it another audition process, or did they find
It was
you?
pretty simple. It was, a meeting with John Landis, who had written, had the script that he had written, and he finally got an opportunity to do it, having had the success with the Blues Brothers and Animal House. So he got to do his movie, and it was really go meet John, and I got a chance to meet with him in his office. It was very informal. He gave me the script, said, "Read this," and really upbeat guy, put me very much at ease. It was sort of like just meeting a contemporary, going, "What do you mean you're doing this film?" He says, "Well, let's read the script and call me tomorrow," which I did, and he said, "So do you want to be a werewolf?" And that's really how it started.
From
And-
Pepper
Well, my
Yeah.
question was, did he want you for the main role?
Yeah, and he wanted me to get over right away to meet with Rick Baker, because Rick needed to get with the guys who he cast to start the preliminary makeup. So it was urgent that he cast as soon as he could, and that's how it started.
Well, I thought your on-screen chemistry with Griffin and Jenny were really great. So.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that. It was, you never really know when you meet the actors how you'll necessarily hit it off, but we were, it was easy to work with Griffin and Jenny, but Griffin and I were supposed to be best friends, and just getting a chance to meet for the first time, and then going, okay, it worked out really well, and we were very fortunate, I think.
Did you have any other deep werewolf questions?
I guess
Because I have a million.
Well, I guess for me,
horror questions.
I guess for me, seeing that film and seeing the practical effects. But what was it like for you during the transformation sequence? I know you probably get that a lot. But.
Well, it was, the thing was we shot the entire film and wrapped everything and just had the transformation to shoot at the end. So that gave Rick Baker as much time as he could, as needed to have everything ready. And so I knew, looking at the schedule, that my day was going to come where we were going to have to go through this transformation, which was a number of days, many hours in makeup. It was 10 hours the first couple of days in makeup, and then we'd work for maybe an hour and a half, and then say, okay, is there anything more that part of the makeup does? No, that's it. Okay, come back tomorrow. We'll go for the next step. So it was a phase of that transformation, and I have to say I was not prepared for the length of time and how tedious it is. It's claustrophobic makeup.
Especially, way back when.
This was all the real stuff, and knowing that, hey, this is all going to pay off. Well, we're going to wait and see how. That was the exciting part, was wait till this thing gets cut together. Let's see how it's going to look.
Yeah.
And they were anxious as well. Rick and John hadn't done any tests to see how it looked until they actually got there. And
You were the guinea pig.
we were definitely, definitely, as was Griffin.
Oh, wow.
Do you have, besides, you know, the most talked about transformation scene, was there any other parts during the movie that really are memorable to you?
Well, you know, any of the times, like, you know, you don't often supposedly wake up in a wolf cage with real wolves.
Right.
You know, that was a scene that was, you know, a one-take opportunity.
Right, yeah.
You know, any of the times in the zoo itself, we were there later than we were anticipating being there, and seeing all these people walking around going, are these extras? They go, no, the zoo's open. So, you know, so these kinds of things, we're using real practical locations. That can happen where the public starts to show up.
Right.
But, you know, we managed to just continue to, and it was fun being in England. You know, you're away from LA, away from the sort of studio pressure. It was just, you know, John and his group that he cast, and us just making this film together. It was really a low, you know, low pressure, although we were there were a lot of hours, and done in a very, you know, concentrated period of time, 10 weeks to shoot this whole movie. We started in February and it came out in August of the same year. So it was really very quick, fast. The idea was to race to the release date.
Right.
To try to beat, you know, the Howling was coming out as well. And there was a lot of buzz about this film, so they wanted to get it out.
Okay.
Well, I've never heard of The Howling, so obviously
All right, well, yeah.
so American Werewolf in London wins.
Yeah, he is very new to the horror genre.
Brand new.
Yeah.
Very good. That's cool.
So is there any future plans or current projects that you're working on?
Well, you know, there's talk about a sequel to, you know, a remake of American Werewolf in London that was, you know, announced in the trade papers that John Landis' son, Max, was going to be writing and directing.
Okay.
Oh.
So it'll be interesting to see if it in fact gets made. You know, initially I was going, wait a second, come on, this is sort of our own classic film. Go make your own movie.
Right.
You know, why try to remake something that's been like this? But the reality is, you know, maybe it'll introduce another generation of werewolf film, you know, goers, and inevitably the comparison will be made saying, yeah, but did you see the original?
Right.
So that'll sort of guarantee.
The buzz on.
Yeah, we'll get the buzz and
Yeah.
see. Yeah, and we'll get to see our work and for maybe another generation or so.
And would you gladly come back and do a cameo?
Well, yeah, you know, I was saying, I wonder what role I'd play. I said, I hope, hopefully not the old guy who's shot first as the werewolf at the beginning. Maybe a little more substantial part, but I would certainly love to be involved, sure.
Okay. And is there a website or a Twitter or anything that people can follow you on? And
Well, you know, I have a davidnaughton.com. I try to keep things announced in terms of the shows that I'm going to be in, what part of the country for different Comic-Cons and things that I appear at, and I pop up. I mean, I'm in the Sharknado 5, which just came out.
I'm a Sharknado
You know,
fan.
yeah. And you know, I did a cameo in that, which was a fun series to be on. So I keep popping up and try to stay as busy as I can.
Okay. Did you have any other questions, Tebow?
Well, great. Nice talking to you guys.
nice talking
Thanks
to you.
so much.
Thank you for joining us
Okay.
today.
Thank you so much for your time.
Enjoy the rest of your time at the con here. And we're back. We have a couple of the volunteers for the Comic-Con here at Jekyll Island. We have Krishan and Kim. Thank you for joining us today.
Not a problem.
And I love your costume.
Yes,
Thank
so
you.
also known as Cosmo and Wanda here from the Fairly Odd Parents. So they're here to grant our wish of letting us know the history of the con here and some of the little behind the scenes information. So who wants to start with the history of Jekyll Island Comic-Con?
Well, it started off with, we had another founder at first, and his whole thing was that this is a very small town, like Brunswick, Georgia, not a lot of people know, and
Yeah, I'm from here, and I
Yeah.
100% agree.
and we wanted to do something for the people here, you know, a lovely island, and it's a perfect place for it. So, you know, the fandom there's a crowd for that.
And when did this start? What year?
What iteration are we in this year?
It's like the 4th or 5th year. I think it started like 2014.
Okay.
I wasn't that
I'm
far
bad
off.
with years. I'm just like, okay, I did this
What
year.
year are we in
'cause
now?
I'm a cosplayer,
Okay.
so I have like my own page. So I'm like, I wore this year. I wore that year.
So
That's
you
how
know
I
what
remember.
character-
We're gonna
what
bookmark that
characters this year,
information
yeah.
because I want to know that.
Yeah, we will have follow-up questions with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
And so you've been here from the ground up.
yeah. Yeah, so how I originally got in on it was at the mall here, we were doing like princesses for little kids, and that's how we were initially like promoting the con. We went to like the fair and whatnot, and I was Ariel for the little kids.
Oh, okay.
And so that's how that all started. We had a calendar the first year and whatnot, but we did this for the people. We always said we didn't care if we made a penny out of it, as long as the people are enjoying it. We enjoy.
So it's very locally sponsored.
Yes.
Yeah.
The first year we were also doing charities for doing like some profits for what was the charity at the time? Man, it's been so long.
That's
You've
fine.
got some with bad memories.
It's
for
fine,
this.
yeah.
But
We won't
Wounded
hold it
Warrior
against
was
you.
the initial one, and now
Okay.
we're doing for the Humane Society and whatnot. So it changes every now and then.
Yeah.
But
Are you being summoned? Is that Timmy?
He's making a wish.
yeah, that's the wish noise.
Yeah. It's gotten more modern since the original series.
But
By the way, it's 2017, in case you know.
Right, no, it's the year of Wanda. It's
Yeah.
the
Oh,
year
the
of
year
Wanda.
of
Yeah, the year of Wanda.
I like that.
That's how
I
we
like
measured it. What brought
Yeah.
you to Jekyll Island Comic-Con?
This is my first year here.
Okay.
I actually heard about it through Kim.
Mhm.
She brought me down here because we're both living in Indiana currently.
Okay,
Oh,
bit of a drive. Wow.
Yeah, it's 10, 12
because
hours
she
drive.
was here from the ground up. She had moved recently from Georgia back to Indiana, from where she was originally from, and she wants to come back down every year because she's been here from the ground up. Really likes supporting this and everything.
Right.
She wants somebody to make the trip with her because it's a long trip. So
Sure.
she asked me to go with her. It's me and my friend going with her to come down. She just got us in, and I like Comic-Cons anyway. So
If she kidnapped you.
Yeah,
blink twice.
Yeah, blink twice. If we need some help.
We'll call people.
Oh, right. No,
Oh, go ahead.
so I'd been to a few Comic-Cons before. It wasn't my first one, but so I'd agreed to come down and help, and it's been really good. This is one of the best local cons that I've been to in the past couple of years.
Okay. You just answered my next question.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I've gone to a lot of I call it the very commercial Comic Con.
Yeah, and Fan
Like-
Fest. And,
like,
Like
yeah.
Dragon
Yeah.
Con, like the bigger ones.
Well, I still, even though Dragon Con's huge, I'm not plugging Dragon Con.
That's
not
different-
plugging-
that's a different
Even though I am,
episode. Yeah.
even though I love it, but it still feels very local to me.
Yeah.
It's just
It's humble here.
It's bigger.
Yeah,
it's just big.
Yeah.
You see a lot of the smaller cons, like in a smaller hotel, like in the lobby and whatnot.
Right.
This is like in the middle. It's a happy medium where it's not ginormous, as everyone knows.
Yeah.
Official Comic Con that is like almost a full week, and you can barely walk through. This,
yeah.
But what I love about the more local ones is that it doesn't feel like a fan fest or like the Walker Soccer's here in Finland.
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
feels very commercial there,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, if you have someone I want to get an autograph on, I guess I'll have to go.
Right.
But it's like, all right, gotta mentally prepare for that. Whereas
Yeah.
local con like
Yeah.
this, it's like, oh, just hang out. We're
You're
gonna-
supporting more than just one person, you know?
Yeah, you're supporting more.
Yeah.
It's more like just
Yeah.
going out, meeting friends.
Yeah,
Much more
yeah,
personal. It's
yeah.
not as commercial.
What I
It's-
like about what we do too here is that it's a little bit of everything.
Right.
There's a lot of conventions that are like just anime based or just horror based. We just
If there's
did
something
the
you like, it's out
Jekyll
on
and
the-
Hyde
Yeah, there's a
list.
little bit of stuff for everybody.
Yeah.
There's gaming, anime. There's the high horror alley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all that.
Is there would you want it to get bigger, or is this like the
Oh yeah, it always, like I said, it gets better with age.
Right.
So, you
So
can
we
even ask
like-
our regulars that come every year. It gets better every year.
Okay.
So we like that it's small, but if it gets bigger, hey, I'll
As long as
I
it
mean,
does it
you'll-
naturally and.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't maybe.
We're never gonna turn
Hyper-inflate.
down a crowd,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
Right, yeah. Yeah, to give kind of behind the scenes of our show here, it was amusing when we were trying to figure out how to meet here, because TiVo here has been to multiple Comic-Cons, Dragon Con,
Right,
and
yeah.
Heroes of Villains, and that. This is my first. So I said, oh, we're just gonna meet up front, at the front door. Well, where? The front door, because he's been to like Dragon Con where it's like multiple buildings.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, we're just meeting front door, and I like that. Especially for a first con, it's like it's all right
But
here.
I'm like, no, which line are we talking about?
Yeah.
Even though I hadn't been to this one, it's
Yeah,
like, but
yeah.
they're gonna, it's not just come in.
No,
Yeah.
the only exceptions that we have that like aren't in the building are like our after parties. Like we go to across the street to the Wee Pub. That's I don't know if you guys went last night or not, but they had our DJ, our VIP parties. Where
I saw a video, but I did miss the actual party.
Yeah.
You missed out,
Yeah.
but no, we do like after parties every year.
Okay.
And some people come just for the after party.
Yeah.
So.
Well, then that sounds more like Dragon Con every day.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
I've never
there
done
are
it, but I've always wanted to.
there are a lot of
Same,
people.
yeah.
Again, seriously,
No.
this is not a Dragon Con.
This isn't an advertisement or anything.
I just
Just
but
a good comparison. It's
When
in
you're done with
Georgia,
Jekyll,
so-
yeah. Well, it's just
Dragon Con.
I know people that literally because I go Dragon Con because I like seeing people in costume.
Yeah.
And I obviously get some huge name people that I really want to meet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could die happy there, literally there.
Yeah.
But there are people I know who could care less and who goes to the parties afterwards. And time well spent. So
Yeah.
it's that
Definitely.
thing. It's that thing of that there's
Yeah.
anything for anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little bit for
definitely.
everybody.
I will say, as the newbie here, this is a great one to start with
Yes.
because you have the Jekyll Island Comic Con plus the Hyde Horror Alley.
Yes.
It's all right here. Everything's very easily accessible. The crowd is good size, but it's not so much that you're shoulder to shoulder,
Yeah.
hitting elbows and
Yeah.
trying to get
You
around.
But like she said, this is a happy medium
This
where
is a
it's
happy
not like just in a hotel lobby or anything. There's enough to have a little bit for everybody,
Yeah.
but it's not so crowded that you
Yeah.
can't get personal and like,
Right.
feel like it's just hanging out with friends.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I really liked about coming here. Over the 2 days that I've been here, I saw the vendors. I was able to talk to the vendors and like come back the next day and be like, oh, how was yesterday?
Yeah.
See them at the after party and all that. It just felt
It's
more personal than the commercial.
Everybody's very approachable.
Yeah.
You
very-
get the more you get the personality and the interaction that you would get in a smaller con, but you still get the variety and what is the word? I am a horrible speaker,
The
so
diversity
you guys
and
got
everything, yeah.
But I think of course every place has to start off small. Because
Yeah,
you aim for
true,
like,
yeah.
oh, we're gonna be the next San Diego.
Right, yeah.
Like immediately, first
Exactly,
year.
right.
That's not gonna work
It's
out.
not
You gotta-
realistic, yeah.
you
Now,
gotta start
we've been
small.
at this location since year one. We've always done it here.
Okay.
So there's some cons who like drift around wherever works for them,
Right.
wherever they get their deals.
Well, this makes it easier to find too, because
Yes.
on this island, if you miss it, you just circle around.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
that's
one
why-
road. Just one road.
Yeah.
I'm originally from Brunswick, Georgia, so
Yeah.
I grew up near here, and I was shamefully asking like, wait, what's the address? Wait, why did I ask that?
If you
Get
miss it,
on
just
Jekyll
keep
Island.
going.
Yeah.
You're not,
The
yeah.
convention center.
If you pass it, just either
Yeah.
keep going, make a U-turn or just keep driving.
Right.
It's an island. You eventually loop back around,
Exactly.
right?
It's really nice. You get the flavor of the area and the community
Yeah.
that
Right.
comes through, but it still has a nice crowd
Yeah.
of everybody from different areas.
Now, oh, go ahead.
Speaking of small cons, so later on in 2018, we're hoping to do this again in Savannah, where we're originally from.
Yeah.
And it's going to be its first year and everything, so
Yeah.
it's like, all right.
Oh, like you're doing your own con?
Well, no, I'm doing the interviews.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, first.
Yeah, but for a con, it's like, got to start on Kickstarter.
Right.
So we're going to be
Yeah.
watching like the birth of hopefully something special.
So it's literally their first year doing anything like this as well. So
Okay.
and it's called Savannah Comic Con. So if you guys want to travel back down this way around February,
Around February,
definitely
yeah.
come check it out. We'll interview
Well,
you again.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
we'll be like,
But
hey,
it's
how you
only
guys doing?
been
Just
a
dress as
long time.
Cosmo and Wanda so we recognize you.
We've got a couple, because I also have like an Ash and Misty.
Which don't go too much on that yet because I do kind of want to. I want to make sure that we were done with the Comic Con questions.
The cosplay questions, that's everyone's big one.
So we're gonna take a
lot of
quick
people
break and
come
come back to
for
this.
that.
Yeah. So. Now we want to kind of dive into what you guys do here, what you're doing. You mentioned that you've done cosplay in the past. What about you, Cosmo?
I've done it once or twice before in the past. I've just recently gotten into it more, hanging with her. Yeah.
Drag.
I've always enjoyed it though. I just haven't always had the opportunity to do it.
Okay.
So.
What kind of characters do you look for as a newbie cosplayer?
As a new cosplayer, just something that's something that you enjoy, something that's from something that you still like, but not as intricate. You don't want to like dive into one of the big cosplays that has like all these props and everything.
Yeah.
Just something that's
Recognizable.
recognizable.
Does work
Yeah.
sometimes, because when you guys entered the room, we knew who you were
Yeah.
supposed to be.
Yeah.
Well, I've been a little upset because I forgot the wings.
Oh, yeah, we do have
handmade
wings.
wings for these, but we forgot.
But see, even without the wings, still.
Yeah, you
the
still
concept
know.
is still
But
there. Yeah.
my
The tie
very
gave you
first
away.
cosplay,
Yeah.
my very first cosplay. See, you play it simple. I did Misty from Pokemon, so it's the denim shorts, the yellow tank top.
Right.
You piece things together, orange wig, and people still know who you are.
Right.
Before
Like-
you start going all out on the big
Dress
name,
shirt,
the big
tie.
name characters.
Yeah,
Like,
stuff you can get at the
Yeah.
store.
There,
Whip
you know,
it
like
together.
obviously the people who dress up as a fully functional Iron Man.
exactly.
That's not their
or like a fully
Right.
functional
This is
Reinhardt.
where, like,
Yeah.
That's not their first
Yeah.
one, you know. It's a steady build.
You start off like this, and you rock it. It's clever.
Right.
People don't think of this, and
It's
you
simple,
still look
people
good.
still recognize
Now,
it, you can still have
Going
fun
on
with
up, it gets more costly. It gets
Yeah.
more complicated.
But like you
more
said, that's like a
creative.
build. Yeah.
Yeah. So for our viewers there, you would definitely say, start simple. Definitely start with something you like, something like
Yeah.
you're saying you have that
Simple,
passion
creative.
for.
That's
yeah.
what I think. You should be
Right.
creative. Something that
Don't go for what you just think will be popular.
Right.
Oh,
Don't-
yeah.
Yeah, don't just go for like, oh, this will get me a lot of photos.
No,
Or,
Right.
see,
Yeah. No.
whenever I first put these together, it's not something I thought, like, not a lot of people watch Fairly Odd Parents anymore. It's,
All
but
of
it's a
viewers.
classic. Everyone
You
loves
will
it.
now.
Yeah, you will now.
Not that I work with Nickelodeon or anything. I'm
Right,
not
promoting
sponsored.
Nickelodeon. No sponsor there.
We're not
either.
sponsored by anybody, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish.
Right.
But
Yeah, this isn't something that we put together
it's like
thinking that
nostalgia,
people were
so
gonna.
everyone loves
Yeah.
it.
Right.
We just put together because it's something we liked,
Yeah.
and it was nice and simple to start with,
Yeah.
just to see where things went.
Yeah.
Because this is our first, cosplay together.
Okay.
Even if we've done ones in the past,
Right.
Yeah.
we start out simple with someone new, see where it goes. So we picked something we both liked and was simple to put together.
So Kim's admitted that she can base her year on what she wore there. So we will definitely get to your list, but what are some notable characters you've played?
I've done Cosmo, I've done, I did Titus from Final Fantasy X
Okay.
once before. And I've also done, it was a character from an anime, I can't remember. It was from, I think it was from Blue Exorcist, maybe? I can't remember, that was like my very first one, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But like I said, I haven't really had the opportunity to do it a lot before now.
And your favorite
I
so far?
dragged
Yeah,
her
this is
into
definitely
it,
my
let's
favorite
be
so
honest.
Yeah.
I dragged
She
her
has
into
a
it.
lot longer. She's been doing it a lot longer and has had the opportunity.
I've been
do it a lot
cosplaying
longer.
since like 2007, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm more like 2014, 13.
That's
Okay.
it.
Yeah. Got to start somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, what about some of your notable costumes?
I got a whole list, because I've even
Right.
been in a magazine, and whenever I
Oh.
sent them, I don't know if you've heard of Cosplay Zine,
Mhm.
but I sent them like a whole list, and they're like, we'll just be general about it. But like I told you, my first one was Misty, and I went from Misty to Bellatrix Lestrange, because that was something I could work with, because I've got underneath the wigs, obviously, this isn't my real hair.
Oh.
Unfortunately,
Spoiler
spoiler
everyone.
alert. But
This is
I'm sorry you had to find out.
I'm getting out of here.
No, but
This-
I have
this-
really
it's all lies.
curly,
Yeah.
curly hair, so that's something you can work with your own features.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when we originally did
Oh, yeah,
Cosmo,
when
he
we-
had green hair.
Yeah, my
You're gonna
actual
tell me your
hair
beard is
was.
fake now.
Oh yeah, just rip it off.
Yeah.
Well, when we originally started doing this, my actual hair was dyed green just because I like dyeing my hair anyway.
Yeah.
And I had the long on top but shorter on the sides.
He looks like
Yeah,
Cosmo.
and I didn't have a beard at the time when we started doing this.
Yeah.
The beard for this was actually when we realized we forgot the wings.
Yeah.
And I did
Improvised.
Yeah, instead of just like getting the spray dye for my hair and everything, I just left the hair off, just the bits of green from where I had it dyed before, and I left the beard on and just went for Cosmo as when he was trying to be Timmy's dad. When he was
Oh,
at the parent teacher
Callback.
conference.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who do like a mix of things that'll be like part Harley Quinn, part Jinx.
Oh, those are
yeah.
coolest.
They
Yeah,
get
oh yeah.
creative.
The other day at this, yesterday, I saw somebody who was Harley Quinn and Joker, but they were pirate Harley Quinn and Joker, like in the style of Pirates of the
Yeah.
Caribbean.
There was a guy I saw at Dragon Con this year. He had half of the Henry Cavill Superman and half the Batman Ben Affleck armor. How he
pulled that off.
Just like,
Yeah.
and it looked like wonderful.
Those are the hard ones though. Those are the ones I get.
Those are the ones you build up to, yeah.
I have another one I'm known for is Jinx from League of Legends. That one is my most expensive one.
Okay.
And you think it wouldn't be because it's so skimpy,
Right.
less fabric, but no, it's
the detail that helps.
yeah, it's
And
the
all
details
the
that-
weapons and everything that
Yeah.
go along with it. Because she's known for a giant rocket launcher and all that. So.
I've also got like Kiki's Delivery Service
Mhm.
and Chihiro from Spirited Away. A lot of
Yuna from
animes.
Final Fantasy.
Oh yeah, the calendar for our first year here. We did the calendars with
Yeah.
the killer names, and I was August, and I was Yuna from Final Fantasy. I do more like games, the anime ones, because you see a lot of like people who do the Marvel, the heroes in this,
Right.
and I do
The
have
more
a
pop
Wonder
culture
Woman,
stuff.
Mhm.
but it's harder for the more anime like characters to get popular. So
Right.
I try to.
There's a lot more
I have a
interpretation
little bit of
that has to
everything,
come
you know,
through.
Mario and
I mean, anime hair alone is
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
an art.
one.
And we've seen some good anime hair out.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of Aquanet probably.
Oh,
a whole lot.
Yeah.
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 So I got a question for all of us, including you.
Oh.
So like, I've cosplayed at a couple cons. I guess I had the grandeur of wanting it to be like really cool. So
Yeah.
it didn't turn out that way. So I kind of discouraged myself. But there's one next year I hope to dress up at least something. So my question to all of us is, what's one you want to do?
Okay, here's,
I'll go first since I brought it
here's
up.
the thing. The thing you might want to do, see, I like to be original, and I don't want to, I've always like wanted to do Harley Quinn, but there's a gazillion Harley Quinns
It is
out
the
there.
number one female cosplayer.
Yes.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you still work with what is convenient, what is in your price range, and
Well,
what,
ideal world for this one then.
Yeah, just like
Well,
probably if
money's
you
not
do
an
whatever
issue
you
for
want.
you, because I don't know what is
Yeah.
convenient for you, but you gotta go with what you feel is.
Well, it wasn't a bad costume,
Yeah.
but just,
Just kind of
let's just
spread
say when
yourself
you
a
see
bit.
someone dressed as that but better, it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
you
why I
shouldn't
say
compare it,
Be
but
creative,
yeah,
be
Yeah.
creative.
Original works there.
but the costume I want to get next, and you already know this,
Mhm.
I want to be Missy from Doctor Who.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it was-
I'm not a Whovian, I'm sorry.
Well, he's a new Whovian.
I'm a new
Yeah.
Who,
Really?
yeah.
A newbie,
Brand,
if you will.
brand new, and Michelle Gomez, who plays the Master Missy, she has such a wonderful costume, and I want to be her.
Yeah.
And Michelle Gomez, if you're
If you're watching.
if you want to be on our show,
Yeah.
we wouldn't hate that.
Yeah.
But that would be like the one I want you to do next.
Yeah.
Alright.
So this is a female.
Yes.
Rock it, man.
Yeah.
There's no shame in it. I've seen a lot of people, and that's a good thing because that's the creativity in it.
Well, I think this year, because I was gonna be it for Halloween, but the pieces wouldn't have come in time to do
You're right,
for Halloween.
okay.
So it's like, well, I
So you want to do you want to do a male rendition, or
Nope.
do you want to
No.
Just
No.
full
drag it out?
dress.
oh no, I want to be her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Nice.
Because that's some people do like a male rendition of things.
And, and I've seen
Oh,
like,
gender
and I've seen
Yeah,
gender
gender
bending
bending.
on either characters,
Especially with
various
gender rights.
costumes.
Yeah, it's really cool, yeah.
No,
And
there's-
people get really creative with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with me and her, it's like, no,
I literally want
Her.
that.
Right.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds cool. That's something I've always wanted to do too. Is like, I don't know if you guys know anything about League of Legends, but I've always wanted to do Annie, and she's got Tibbers, and there's a skin called Reverse Annie Tibbers. It's just finding someone to be Tibbers with me, but she wears
I think
the
you just
bear
got volunteered
costume
on that.
and he wears the dress.
So we're gonna see you in a dress next Jekyll Island Comic Con?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Rocking the dress.
Well,
And he'll be
then-
he'll be Missy. So.
I'll be Missy.
Alright.
Yeah.
By then, hopefully,
Hopefully.
everything will be in place.
Maybe you'll be more comfortable when some other guy is also wearing a dress.
Well, I will say I did go Halloween once as anime Catwoman, and you know I got a lot of cat calls, and I feel good about myself. I was like, thank you. I hope you guys know that this is I'm not near what you think I am, but thank you.
No. But see, there's also a good thing about that, because then you make friends like that.
Yeah, right.
People come to you and they're like, I like what you're doing
Yeah.
here. That's the thing about being something kind of iconic, is everyone sees it, so they might not approach you. But if you're here to like make friends and involve yourself within the community, be creative.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What about you?
About me.
Your ideal cosplay costume.
The reverse thing.
Yeah. Or Annie in general.
Is that your?
The thing is with Annie that I haven't been able to achieve with it yet. I have a whole list of cosplays I want to do, but I can't find her dress, and I'm not a very good seamstress, so
That is the other side.
there are things are,
Yeah.
but
Especially
downfalls
the
of
really
cosplay
like hardcore ones. They like
hard to find.
either
Yeah.
can do it already or they learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, my Jinx isn't complete yet, so I would like to complete my Jinx, but things that aren't complete about it are like the bullets, the guns, and whenever it comes to the harder things like armor and that's I'm not a professional with that yet, so that's kind of like you have to try to commission people and
Right.
try to get work sent out to you.
So if any of our viewers are listening and want to,
Yeah.
We'll get all these information.
I have a page, Revolution Giver. Hey, yeah.
I will definitely let you promote yourself.
Bookmark that. We'll say it again.
And what about you, Cosmo? Because that's who you are now. I cannot not.
If we ever see you again, even if you're not dressed up,
Brown or not.
we're gonna be like, hey,
Cosmo.
Yeah. So the game Final Fantasy X. There's a character Arn. At one point, you find out that he's been like a spirit through the whole game. He hasn't actually been alive or whatever. I want to do
Spoilers.
I want to do Arn, but instead of doing like spirit Arn, I want to do a zombified version of him.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
really, yeah.
Creativity.
I want to do a really hardcore zombified version of Arn, but I can't do special effects on makeup. That's like
Yeah. Yes.
If only we had like
Yeah.
connections to people. Like,
If only there was some worldwide web
I
or
know.
somewhere we could connect people.
This is where community also helps.
Yes.
You make friends who are like,
Yeah.
here's this tip, here's that tip. Also YouTube, that's, my mom always told me,
Which is where we're hosted, so that.
Yeah.
when in doubt, Google it out.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
YouTube has
Yeah, that's-
everything.
Yeah.
I learned how to do anything on YouTube.
You can
Yeah.
do anything.
From tie to cosplay, it's all
there.
Yeah.
But I think with me, my hang up is, I guess it's just that OCD thing. If I'm not like how I want
To the
it to
T.
look in my head,
Right.
it's just like, oh, this is a failure.
I have that too.
Yeah.
It's like the self-image that you have for yourself that
Yeah.
it doesn't fit to a T.
Even though like
Find
everybody
one-
probably would think, oh,
Wow, that's
nothing's
amazing,
wrong
yeah.
with that.
Right, yeah.
It's
No.
that little image in your head.
Because
That's
you
been
made
me
it, you know that there's.
All day today,
Yeah.
since we're missing our wings.
Yeah, people
Like,
look
I
at
was
us and
so-
they're
See,
like,
we didn't
upset.
even think about the wings missing
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you encompass the character.
And yesterday I was Ariel. That's one of my other really big cosplays, because I have the mermaid Ariel and then I have on land Ariel.
Okay.
Well, I was on land Ariel and I forgot the bow, big blue bow. in the
Right.
back
and
of
she
my
was
head.
freaking out because she forgot the bow, and nobody even noticed that there was a bow. Like, but because she made everything herself, she knows, and it's just picking at it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
when,
just that thing, right?
when you're like a dedicated cosplayer, you get these things for this purpose.
Right.
And,
Yeah, like,
it hurts when
And
you.
being that you don't live right down the road.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, it's right back home.
For those who know what Missy looks like, I mean, if I buy it, I need to like wear it. It's not like I can go to work. Be like, oh, I'm just gonna wear this.
Yeah, just
Although
casual.
I've done
wearing a
that
dress,
before,
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I work.
Just
well,
casual
I'm not gonna
wear
say
this.
where I work, so I might get in trouble for my with work. But I've worn my cosplays to work. I remember getting one in the mail and wearing it to work that day, just because I was so excited and I was getting the weird looks. But
Oh,
I did it for me.
I mean,
Who cares?
we don't know. If I ever finally, get the money to buy my costume, I just might just
You
did say
for that same
You
reaction.
get so pumped. When you finish putting your cosplay together, you get this sense of like satisfaction,
Yeah.
and you put it on, and then you just never want to take it off.
Well, Tivo did
that's
say
the
that if
best.
he would have gotten it by Halloween, he would have worn it to work for Halloween.
That's what I
Yeah.
ended up doing.
yeah.
Yeah. Because then at least you have that escape there. It's like, oh, it's Halloween. Of course I'm.
Yeah, of course I'm. Yeah.
Once you become a cosplayer, you kind of wish every day was Halloween. Though.
I already wish every day was
Same.
Halloween.
Yeah, that's
It's
just.
my favorite holiday.
Yeah.
But to close it out, what is
I'm wishing I would have gone first now, because I've never done cosplay. I've done
Right.
costuming.
Uh-huh.
The biggest one I got compliments on was I was one Halloween the female Spartan cheerleader from SNL.
Uh-huh.
Did the shaved legs, everything. Again, got cat calls, got all
Yeah.
this. And it does, it makes you feel good. It's like, all right, I am this character. But no, you said, use your features and be kind of creative. And I keep going back to, Jeff Bridges and R.I.P.D.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah, I can work with that. I can
Yeah,
make that,
definitely.
Or just, can I just cosplay as Jeff Bridges? Yeah, you would definitely have to listen to past episodes for that to make
For
more
you,
sense.
if I had to pick one right now, you got to do Jeff Bridges in the Live commercials.
Oh yeah,
When
yeah.
he's like, basically, it looks like you're watching a commercial for like Oregon Trail, but it's
Yeah.
Live.
Yeah.
Really?
It's so
I've
weird.
never seen
It's
them.
so
Oh, yeah.
weird, and there's
Really?
one.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
one in space with Tilda Swinton and Jordan Peele. They're in a spaceship, and you're like,
And we're not sponsored by Left. We're just saying these are really good commercials.
or just
Yeah.
they're just odd enough to. Well,
Yeah.
clearly they're odd enough that people talk about.
I feel
Right,
so
yeah.
left out because I don't know names. I know faces. So I'm like,
Okay.
yeah, oh, sounds cool.
So before we let you guys go, where can people find out more about Jekyll Island Comic-Con?
We have our Facebook page, and we also have the Jekyll Comic Con. You can just Google it,
Okay.
As we just
Every-
said.
yeah,
Jekyll
As your
Island
mom would say,
Comic-Con.
Google it.
Yeah. But on Facebook, we have our group page. We have our official Jekyll Comic Con Facebook page.
And there are multiple fan pages too.
Yeah.
Okay. And how can people find out more about you guys?
About
You personally.
me personally.
Yeah.
And if you want to promote anything too.
Well, I have my modeling cosplay page. I go by Revolution Giver, capital R, capital G, no spaces.
And we'll have the links in
On
the show notes
Facebook.
here.
Yeah.
And
That's how you can get me.
and for me, I'm really just with
He's-
her.
he's
I'm just
with me.
piggybacking on
You're
her,
basically an
honestly.
accessory.
He's
Yeah.
my wingman.
If you see him
Again, blink twice.
Yeah. If you see Wanda carrying around a duffel bag that's shaking around, you're in it.
Yeah. If you hear beating coming from the trunk,
Right.
just-
It's not her costume. It's her.
Not
her
twice
accessory.
in that case. I can't see you blink.
Right. So well, thank you both for joining
Yes,
us.
yes,
here.
no problem. Great.
Yeah. Really enjoying
Thank
the
you
con,
for
and
having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
yeah.